For nearly 2 centuries, not a single soul had ever broken free from this fortress. Hidden in the mountains of upstate New York, surrounded by razor wire, concrete walls, and multiple layers of security, Clinton Correctional was built to be impenetrable. But on June 6, 2015, something broke. Not just the rules, not just the steel, but the illusion of control itself. What kind of force could penetrate a system manned by 1,000 guards, equipped with infrared sensors, and fortified by 170 years of silence? Technology? No, it was something far more human. Loneliness, trust, and a love that never should have existed. This is the true story of how the most secure prison in New York was brought to its knees, not by violence, but by emotion. Stay with us as we uncover the secrets buried within the cold stone walls of Clinton Correctional. Secrets that reshape the landscape of American prison history. If you value in-depth investigations like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Let's continue exploring the hidden side of justice, together. Clinton Correctional wasn't just built to hold men, it was built to outlast them. Founded in 1845, the prison is nestled in the foothills of the Adirondack Mountains, a region known more for its harsh winters and stark isolation than for comfort. It was strategically placed, remote, difficult to reach, and even harder to flee. In its early years, inmates were forced to mine iron from nearby hills, enduring long hours in freezing temperatures, shackled to labor that served as punishment. Over time, the prison's walls grew higher and stronger. By the late 1800s, the perimeter loomed over 60 feet tall, roughly the height of a 5-story building. Today, Clinton houses nearly 3,000 inmates. Around 1,000 correctional officers cycle through its corridors. It remains the largest maximum security prison in New York, a facility so complex it has been likened to a labyrinth, a network of locked gates, checkpoints, and narrow passages designed to disorient even the most calculating mind. There are guard towers, motion detectors, and internal alarms, a fortress engineered for total control. But as history often teaches us, control is only as reliable as the people enforcing it. Clinton became more than a prison. It became a mechanism, cold, procedural, unforgiving. Every movement tracked, every sound registered, every look recorded. And yet, 2 men disappeared. Her name was Joyce Mitchell. Most knew her as Tilly. By day, she worked quietly as a civilian sewing instructor at Clinton. But beneath her composed demeanor and polite exchanges was a woman quietly unraveling. Mitchell was 51. She lived nearby. She was married, but emotionally, she felt completely alone. In her own words, "I was going through a time where I felt like my husband didn't love me anymore." Joyce Mitchell, 2015 testimony. That emotional void was the opening, and 2 inmates, Richard Matt and David Sweat, stepped into it. One charismatic, the other cunning, both adept at spotting weakness. Inside the tailor shop, away from cameras and watchful eyes, a fragile connection began to take shape. Mitchell offered them special treatment, smuggled small comforts, spent increasingly long hours by their side. She started bending rules, gradually at first, then without hesitation. Other inmates noticed. Whispers spread. Rumors drifted through the cell blocks like smoke, but no action was taken. Joyce Mitchell had become the system's blind spot, and in any great structure, no matter how fortified, the first cracks are never in the stone. They're in the trust. One woman, one lapse in judgment, but that lapse would shatter a fortress. It began with a blade, smuggled inside a frozen hamburger, wrapped tightly in plastic, passed through a checkpoint meant to detect such things. Joyce Mitchell brought it in herself. Over the following weeks, more tools followed. Hacksaws, chisels, screwdrivers, each item hidden in bags of frozen meat or tucked among sewing supplies. Matt and Sweat retrieved them under the guise of food duty, slipping them back to their cells unnoticed. They worked at night, silent, surgical. After the 10:30 p.m. head count, guards would patrol briefly. The inmates knew the timing. They staged decoys in their bunks using bundled clothes, covered with blankets, and vanished beneath the floor. Behind their beds was an old air vent. With their smuggled tools, they spent over 85 nights cutting through the grate and chiseling through the wall behind it. inch by inch, night after night. Beyond the cell wall lay Clinton's underbelly, a network of steam tunnels and electrical conduits. In the summer, the pipes cooled just enough to crawl beside. Timing was crucial. They hunched, crawled, and squeezed through shafts barely 2 feet wide. For over 100 meters, they inched beneath Clinton's security infrastructure until they reached a vertical shaft, a manhole leading beyond the prison's outer wall. The escape route was calculated, ingenious, a blueprint for the unthinkable. And before they vanished, they left a note. "Have a nice day." A smiling face beneath it, and on the back, "You left me no choice." It wasn't just a note, it was a statement. The prison had already fallen. The escape triggered a manhunt unlike anything New York had seen in decades. Within hours, more than 1,300 officers were mobilized. State troopers, federal agents, tactical teams. Helicopters scanned the skies. Armored vehicles blocked roads. Checkpoints blanketed nearby counties. Every car was stopped. Every house searched. Residents were told to lock doors, check basements, and remain alert. Even in the wilderness, the hunt pressed on, because that's where the fugitives had gone, into the woods. The Adirondacks may seem serene on a postcard, but for 2 injured, starving men with no supplies and no clear destination, the forest became a slow-motion death sentence. Matt and Sweat broke into hunting cabins, stole what they could, and drank anything available. Investigators found ransacked shelters, empty bottles, scattered food wrappers. Some scenes showed signs of illness, insect infestations, blood. They were starving, weak, covered in bites, losing grip. Inside Clinton, the pressure mounted. Inmates claim guards turned aggressive after the escape. Some allege they were beaten for information they didn't have. An internal investigation later confirmed patterns of excessive force, but the search continued. On day 20, Richard Matt was cornered near Malone, New York. He was armed, dehydrated, disoriented. When he raised his weapon, officers opened fire. He died on the spot. A .20 gauge shotgun was found nearby. 2 days later, David Sweat was seen less than 2 miles from the Canadian border. He ran. An officer fired twice, hitting him in the back. He survived. Later, in a rare interview, Sweat said just 3 words, "I regret everything." But by then, it was too late. The escape was over. But the consequences would echo for years. In the end, it wasn't the tools that brought down Clinton Correctional, it was trust. Joyce Mitchell served her time. Gene Palmer lost his career. Dozens of staff were held responsible. Security protocols were rewritten. Surveillance systems were upgraded. But no prison is truly secure when its greatest weakness lies within its own people. This wasn't just a prison break, it was a warning that even the most fortified institutions can collapse when emotion replaces judgment, when vigilance fades, and when accountability slips. Because within Clinton's frozen walls, it wasn't steel that failed. It was something far more human. If this story offered a new perspective, share it. Help others see what lies beneath the surface. And if you're compelled to keep uncovering hidden truths, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next story that was never meant to be told. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.